The opinions and views expressed in Political Talk belong to its commentators and are not those of Nexstar Broadcasting Incorporated, this station, or their affiliates or employees.
Welcome to this edition of Political Talk this Thursday. I'm joined by Dora Leland and Tom Santulli as we discuss issues around the nation. The big issue this week, obviously, the protests and riots in the wake of the death of George Floyd. We're focusing today on how Governor Cuomo is handling the situation. Earlier this week, he lashed out at the New York City mayor, and there's been a lot of fallout over that. Dora, what's your take on how the governor is handling the situation, especially in New York City, where we're seeing a lot of riots?
Absolutely. Well, emotions are running so high right now. We're in over 90 days of a pandemic with over 100,000 people lost. We watched a violent murder play out live on television. We saw two different Cuomos, Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday, he came out swinging. He was angry at the mayor. He was angry at de Blasio, and he called out NYPD. I think a lot of the videos that surfaced, the tactics they used, were alarming. So, and then we saw him on Wednesday, and it was a whole different tone, much more conciliatory. He had spoken to the commissioner. He kind of backtracked a little bit, said that he was calling out the deployment and the management, not the actual police officers, made it a point to say they are the best in the nation, confirmed his support for them. But I also feel that in his press briefings, he really was intentional in letting the protesters know that they were heard. He called out the systemic racial injustice in the nation. He acknowledged that. He acknowledged their righteous indignation and their right to protest, but he was also very intentional in separating protesters from looters. And he also called out the president for not being able to do that and lumping them all in one category.
Okay.
So I think he's really trying to drive home that we are all in this together message at a time when that is very difficult.
Yeah, extremely difficult. Tom, this relationship between the mayor and the governor can't be good, especially for that part of the state or the state at whole.
No, I mean, think about, and I always say this to you, Zach, that politics is politics. We always like to say there's no politics involved, but politics, unfortunately, is involved in everything. I mean, here you have this awful, what happened, what a crisis it was, and people, blacks, white, and brown, of color of skin, came together and said, listen, what happened in Minnesota was outrageous. In the George Floyd, it was a tragedy. And people stood together and said what they thought, and police officers and chiefs came forward and said, what a terrible thing to have happen. These people should go to jail, these police officers who did this. The governor started out on the right track, and I think he got off track. His dislike for the mayor got in the way. And at first he did. And listen, he went after the mayor, said he's the guy that could remove him. He said about the police in New York City, you didn't do a great job. This thing got out of hand. Listen, the New York City police got their orders from above. I know how that system works. The police were getting their orders from the mayor. And he was saying, hey, hands off. Now, when the looting started, and that was all orchestrated. This has nothing to do with the peaceful protesters. When the looting started, the burning started, and the people reacted, the people that own those shops, the people that live there. The mayor and the governor knew there was another crowd, and they were angry about who's protecting us. So then all of a sudden, who's the scapegoat? I think the police department. Hey, my thought, the police were getting the directions from the mayor. The governor's complaint should have been directly with the mayor. He was ordering them, and then things started to settle down, but they could explode again tomorrow. So, there's a lot of blame here to go around when you let something get out of hand and don't handle it. We have to separate the peaceful protesters from the people that were there for a purpose, and the purpose was bad.
Yeah, and there's a lot of peaceful protesters that are, that have happened over this country, and especially right here in our area. It's been wonderful to see how the community has come together here in the Twin Tiers. Any final thoughts? Did you want to say anything? We can continue now, just for a few brief seconds for our web edition. Dora, did you want any response to that?
Yeah, I just want to reaffirm what you said. I have just been so heartened by the protests in Elmira and Corning, and I know an organizer, Damari Green, really has driven home the message that they are there to change the system, not for anything but that. I think they've just done an amazing job spreading their message of peace and change.
Yeah, Tom, do you have it? Yeah. I'm sorry. Did I cut you off? Tom,
No, I think it's nice to see.
Did you have anything you wanted to say concerning the protests or in our area?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was peaceful, it was meaningful, and to me, this started out on such a high note. It really did, that people saw something that was wrong, and everyone, no matter what color your skin was, and said, this is horrible, and these people should be punished and go to jail. It was too bad that second piece had to happen with the looting and the burning, you know, because it takes away from the real. I would imagine most of those people didn't even know what, I would think a lot of those people who were violent didn't even know why they were there.
Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Political Talk. We appreciate both of your thoughts on this very important issue facing our country. And of course, for the latest edition of Political Talk, simply head to our website, mytwintiers.com. But for now, we'll be right back.